ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Tuesday, May 21st. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line's open this hour, 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. Coming up today on the program, we're going to hear from Rebecca Merritt. She's competing in the NCAA East Preliminaries for the second consecutive season, representing the Thundering Herd in the hammer throw and the discus. So Rebecca's going to join us here in the next few minutes. We'll talk to her. She had a pretty good season. You look at her numbers. How she qualified was outstanding. She was able to qualify with a mark of 52 meters at the Music City Challenge. That was at Vanderbilt. And the hammer throw, she qualified with a mark of 58.14 at the FSU Relays. Her hammer throw at the Music City Challenge almost broke the record there. It's 52.12 meters. So she was 0.12 meters off from breaking the record. And I'm sure she's got a lot more in her. So we'll talk to her. That's coming up. Everything's going to be held in Lexington. So if you don't have anything better to do, it might be a good opportunity for some Herd fans to head on down to Lexington and see some of the East Preliminaries. Give some of the participants some friendly faces to see, cheering for them in the crowd. I think that would be great if there were some Herd fans who actually were in the area or could make a trip. I know it's very hard to take off a day, middle of the week, but still, if you're able to go, hey, it's not that far. That's the cool thing about it. So it's not that far. And it's an easy trip for everyone to go support the Thundering Herd, especially you got 4 athletes, student athletes in the preliminaries. That's pretty good. So she's coming on the program in the next few minutes. Looking forward to talking to her. And, of course, we'll get your text in throughout the hour. And, again, that's 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We got baseball action coming up tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 as the Pirates will play host to the San Francisco Giants. A 6:40 first pitch, 6:15 airtime here on your home of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cleveland Guardians got the win over New York yesterday, 3-1. They take on New York again. Reds off yesterday. They take on San Diego coming up tonight. Big news for Marshall basketball. Some of the big questions have been asked. What's the class going to look like? What's Julie Folks going to be able to do? She's going to be able to bring some players in, some quality players in. Well, the jury's always going to be out on that. We'll have to see what this team looks like after she's done and it takes the court. But another commit to the Thundering Herd. This time, it's Treshonda Williams. She is a forward. She's 6'2", out of Flint, Michigan. She is a transfer from Columbia State Community College. She's got a couple years of eligibility left. Last year, she played 24 games, started 23, averaging almost 9 points a contest. But she shoots over 43% from the field. She shoots 50% from the three-point line. She is better than 62% from the free throw line. Also, she is a rebounding machine. She brings in almost 8 rebounds a contest. Pretty good numbers across the board. 11 assists, 6 steals, 18 blocks, and she's got a couple of seasons left. So she's coming in. We'll see what this team looks like. You got to remember, with a coach like Julie Folks, she runs a lot of camps. She sees a lot of athletes, all levels. And so you bring somebody in, you might not know that much about them, but as we joked about before, football coaches never go by what's your star rating. They never evaluate based on what rivals would say or 24/7 would say, hey, this is a 4-star athlete, this is a 5-star athlete. Now, they will use those rankings to kind of tout what they've done if they're pretty good, but that they're not looking at this and going, well, she's from Columbia State Community College. Can she play in the Sun Belt? They're looking at that possibly. Okay, what kind of athlete is she? Does she fit the system? What can she do? And so we'll find out what this team looks like. But again, she's got a proven track record of success. I'm interested to see what this team looks like. And really not that many holes to fill. That's the one thing about the women's basketball team, not that many holes to fill there. So I'm interested, to say the least, to see what's going to happen when this thing is all put together. It's going to be a similar but different style, if that makes sense. I think we'll still see a fun, fast-paced game, but I don't think we're going to see hockey shifts. I think we're going to see a bigger emphasis on defense. That's definitely going to be something that might change from last year. Not to say that Marshall was not a defensive team last year, but this was an offense-first team last year. So now it's going to play a little bit more defense. Speaking of things that are happening in the Sun Belt, we got baseball action going on. Number 10, Georgia State, taking on number 7, Coastal Carolina right now. And then later it's going to be number 9, South Alabama versus number 8, Old Dominion, and the Sun Belt Baseball Tournament. Of course, the Thundering Herd failing to qualify for the tournament. If Marshall could have qualified, Marshall will be taking on the team that pretty much sealed their fate, Coastal Carolina. They finished as a 7 seed. So the tournament is off and running. Hopefully Marshall can turn things around and qualify for the Sun Belt Tournament. That's probably one of the final frontiers for Marshall. Get good in baseball, because we know softball is going to get back. We hope the softball is going to get back. So we're not overly concerned there. Softball is going to be back. Volleyball, we're going to get volleyball a lot better. That needs to happen. So volleyball, softball, not too concerned about that. Tennis is going to contend. Not worried there. Track and field, we see some forward momentum there, so I'm not concerned there. Swimming and diving, they're always going to be contenders. It feels like this program's on the right path. And once upon a time when this was the swimming program in the Southern Conference, we got to go back a ways. Marshall was dominating swimming in the Southern Conference. And hopefully Marshall can get to that point where Marshall's a contender again. Because when Marshall had the swim program before, it was really good in the Southern Conference. Now you're back in a league where you might have a shot at being dominant again, or at least being a contender. So I'm not concerned about most of the sports right now. Baseball, there's a huge investment being made in the program with the new facility, which was needed. Let's not overlook that. It was needed. It was time. This had to be put to bed finally. And so now you've got everything you need. And hopefully here soon we're talking about Marshall playing in one of these tournament games. Next year wouldn't be too bad. I'll take that. Finish higher than 10 would make me happy. 10 or higher would make me happy for the next season. So when we continue, we're going to turn our attention to Marshall track and field. Rebecca Merritt's going to join us in the program. She's competing in 2 events in the NCAA East Preliminaries. This is the second consecutive season for her. She's in the hammer throw and she's in the discus. And we'll talk to her when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Save big money on everything for your next project at Menards. It doesn't matter what job you're up against. Works cordless power tools and lawn equipment have the power for you to get the job done faster and easier. The Power Share 20-volt batteries run longer on a single charge, and they can be used with other Works tools. Check out Menards' entire selection of Works cordless power tools and lawn equipment today on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude,
How's the temperature?
it's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Tuesday, May 21st edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line opens back up in a few minutes at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. But I want to welcome to the program now. She is going to be in the NCAA East Preliminaries for the second consecutive season. She'll be participating in the hammer throw and the discus. Rebecca Merritt now joins us. And Rebecca, congratulations. It's always better the second time, isn't it?
Yes, I'm so excited this year.
What's changed for you?
It takes
Yeah, what's changed for you from last year to this year? As you do this again, you've been through it once already. So what's going to be the difference for you?
I think it makes me a lot more confident just going in this year. Like the first year, you're kind of really nervous, and it's not really a meet that you've been to before. Second year, you can kind of go in and just be more confident, like you've been in a big meet, like the level of this as East Prelims is.
Does your preparation change, or do you do something different now that you've seen this and you kind of have a better understanding of what it's about?
I would say my preparation, my mindset, I really try to just focus on my training and not try to change up too many things, because I know like what I've been doing has been working for me. I don't need to do anything crazy at this meet, just do what I've been working on. And I'd say we kind of do the similar things in practice, like just especially as we were gearing up for conference. That's another big meet, and we just kind of write out the same training.
Now, you won the silver and the discus at the Sun Belt Conference Outdoor Championships, and that's one of the events that you qualified for. You qualified with a mark of 52 meters at the Music City Challenge at Vanderbilt. Now, you know that's a good mark, but you got to do better. Obviously, you always want to try to do better. How much better can you get? How much more do you think you can improve upon that mark?
I think that at least another meter, which is about 3 feet or so. I know that I have like the capability to do so, and I know that that may, give or take, like be able to get me in the top 12 for nationals. And then I also know that the school record is 52.12, so I know if I just can get that just a little bit more, like I would still be accomplishing some great things.
My guest, Rebecca Merritt, getting set for the NCAA East Preliminaries. Second consecutive season for her. You're not alone. You'll be down there as well with Abby Herring. Kylie Masson's going to be there with you. Tyra Thomas. What's it mean to just have more support this time around?
I think it's awesome. I'm with a great group of girls. We all work very hard, and I see it every day at practice. I'm really excited for them as well, and so to see their big day and all they've worked for when we get there. Now,
you've been around already. You've done this. Also, Tyra has done this as well. For Abby and Kylie, this might be a newer experience. What's the preparation like when you talk to them, when you explain to them what you went through the first time? Or is it comparable, comparing different sports and different preparation for those sports?
I guess something I like would tell them, and I tell anyone, is when we get to these big level meets, I just really try to stick to my basics. I try to put myself in like a practice mindset or a training mindset, and just try to remember my cues and what works for me, and know that I don't need to try to do something different at this meet, because what I've been doing has been working. And for them, like, I know that if they just stick to what they've been focusing on in practice, like, they can like achieve those goals, and they can get to like where they're wanting to go, or like their new PRs or anything like that, if they just kind of stick to like what they've been doing, instead of like getting too excited or just forgetting it all.
My guest is Rebecca Merritt. We're getting set for the NCAA East Preliminaries. She's going to be participating in the hammer throw and the discus. From last year when you qualified to this year, there's been a lot of changes at Marshall University, and it's been good to see. There's a lot more now that's being put toward track and field, cross country at Marshall University. What's those changes been like for you, just to see the growth of the sport, not only at Marshall, but for yourself?
We got a new head coach, Coach Roberts, and I got a new throws coach also. I think that the change has really been for the better. Like, I've seen and experienced just a lot of the things that they've been doing, and it's really going to get Marshall track and field in the right direction. My new coach, Coach Clickett, I feel like with such a short time has had amazing impact on my career, and I couldn't ask for anyone better to coach me on my last outdoor season.
Do you think those changes were possible a few years ago? I mean, you look at where this program is now, where it's been, and I don't want to say it feels like night and day, but we're talking more about track and field and successes all the time, more than ever. Did you think that you would see it come to this point where the foundation is being built and you can look back a few years from now and see that maybe it started here?
I would say that a lot of these things have been able to be possible with the new coaching, and I definitely, in the future, it'll be even more possible for more athletes, I believe. I think that myself, that I worked really hard to get there, and I think that I could have still seen that in the future, but it's definitely been more eye-opening this year.
Rebecca Merritt is with us. We're getting set for the East Prelims this week. It's the hammer throw and discus that she'll be participating. Second consecutive season that she's going to be at the NCAA East Preliminaries. And you mentioned you work hard. I don't know how many people have your schedule, but you have classes. We all have classes when we go to college. But you have to get up early morning. Your training schedule, your training routine is a little bit more different than some of your teammates. Just how difficult has it been to balance early morning and then classes and do well at both?
I would say it has been very difficult, and I definitely could have not done it without my coaches and my teachers working with me. I'm in the medical imaging program at Marshall, and so I have class Tuesday, Thursday, and I have to be at clinical Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it all starts at around 7:30 in the morning. So I get up and practice at 6 a.m., and then I just have to get my lifts in after clinical, which is around 4 p.m. But I just know that it'll all be worth it in the end, so I just keep driving through it.
So that made it hard to keep the same routine and try to bond with your teammates and keep that connection? I mean, do you feel a little disconnect, or is there that connection that you would have if your practice times and your workout times were along the same lines as everyone else?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. The throws group is very connected. We're a very family-oriented team. I love all my teammates, and I sometimes do feel like I miss out a little bit because I love lifting with them and having practice with them. But whenever we get into this postseason and we're out of classes, it's nice to be able to work out with all of them again. And we get to hang out sometimes outside of practice, and it makes up for it. But yeah, I do miss it sometimes, not being able to practice with them at normal times. My
guest is Rebecca Merritt. Now, you mentioned hanging out. You have here in the next couple of days an opportunity to hang out with Tyra Thomas. You've done this before with her, but then now you have Kylie Maston and you have Abby Herring. You know what kind of cut-ups they are. How do you keep those two in line? Challenging, isn't it?
Yeah. We kind of all have like different schedules and different like workouts, but I'd say we all get along very well, and we kind of like talk to each other about our like programs and our workouts, and they're just all very different, so it's hard.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but Abby Herring has this thing that she has to have a sweet treat every day after a meal, and things get ugly. And of course, Kylie ratted her out last week about this. So, do you anticipate the Abby Herring sweet treat run, and you'll be a part of that? I'm sure.
I'm sure I'll be a part of it. I'm all on board for a sweet treat after meet. That's always like my thing after like a good meet, or if I PR at a meet, I'm like, I need me some ice cream after this meet. That's been my thing since like high school.
What's your go-to ice cream? Is it vanilla, strawberry, chocolate? What's your go-to?
I would say if they have like a s'mores, or if like it's store ice cream, I like to get like a Moose Tracks, like a chocolate peanut buttery ice cream.
So winning events and PRing sweet treats, that's a good way to go about it.
Yep, that's it.
My guess is Rebecca Merritt coming up. It's the NCAA East Preliminaries, second consecutive season for her. Now, you coming to Marshall, you come from a school in Indiana, so you're not that far away from home. How much time do you get to see your family when you go to meets? Will they be able to come to the prelims this week and support you?
Yeah, my parents are coming this weekend. They've been a huge support, and they've traveled like almost all of my meets. So I get to see them very regularly during like track season. Macy Majoy, she told me to tell you, she said hi, and her mom are coming. And my boyfriend is also coming. He is on the baseball team at Marshall.
Well, if Macy's not listening, tell her Macy I said hello again. Macy is Macy is another personality that let me tell you. You know. I don't have to tell you.
Yeah, she's one of my good friends.
Yeah, she was fantastic when we had her on the show. So your family, big part of your career, not only in high school but now in college.
Oh yes, they've been a huge impact and a huge help. I couldn't have been able to do it without them. From driving me to all of my trainings in high school and picking me up, dropping me off, like sitting at those long track meets. Like track meets they're long, especially the throwing. Like if you get to 3 or 4 flights of throwing and then switching events, and the boys and the guys, and they've always stuck it out there with me and traveled all the way to like Louisiana last weekend or Florida. Like they'll go to all of them. So I'm super thankful for my parents who've been able to do all that for me.
Now, was track and field something that you followed in their footsteps, or was that something you came to them and wanted to do?
It's something I came to them and wanted to do. I started when I was in middle school, around like 7th grade, and I wasn't even a thrower at that point. I just wanted to be on the team with my friends. I just kind of like went out there with one of my friends and like threw a shot put, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna throw for us now." And one of my coaches in middle school, he took me to a college track meet at Purdue University, and I was like, "This is so cool. I like really want to like compete at this level." So that's when my parents started taking me to like trainers and coaches that could help me out, like outside of just high school and like middle school, to just kind of like help better me, and just kept getting better and wanted to throw in college.
Now, is there an event that you want to do that you haven't had a chance to do, or are you right where you want to be and need to be?
I would say I'm right where I want to be and need to be. I'd say discus and hammer are my favorite. I don't know if anyone wants to see me run over some hurdles. I think we'd get a good laugh with that.
No, stay away from the hurdles. That's insane. I know Tyra is good at it, but everybody else, stay away from the hurdles.
Right. Or the pole vault, like Macy, I break my neck.
Does Macy still drive around traffic with the pole vault attached to her car? Do you know that?
I don't think she does, but that was a sight. If you've ever seen her drive around Marshall with her poles strapped to the side of her car.
I've seen the photo. I haven't seen it in motion, and I wish there was video of it. Just driving around with the pole vault. You know, I'm sure people got out of her way real quick.
Right.
So what are you looking forward to after this is all done? After you obviously win the gold medal, that's what we're hoping for. You win the gold medal, and you start your career. What are you going to look back on and miss the most, and what are you looking forward to when this part of your life is over?
I think I'll really look back on like my coaches and my teammates, and sometimes those like training moments are hard, but it's really like impactful. Like the moments where you like get that big PR or you finally get that medal that you've been working so hard for. I will really miss like those big moments, but I know that my new career, whenever track and field is all said and done, will also be really rewarding and deserving. So I'm excited for that next chapter as well.
Rebecca Merritt is with us. Coming up this week, it's the NCAA East Preliminaries, second consecutive season for you. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing how well you do, and hopefully you get to go all the way and we get to continue this experience with you for at least a few more weeks.
Yes, that would be the goal. Make it to nationals in Eugene, Oregon.
Rebecca, thank you again. Good luck, and let's hope you get to Oregon.
Thank you so much.
That's Rebecca Merritt. She'll be in the NCAA East Preliminaries competing in the hammer throw and the discus, and if she does well, there's going to be some ice cream for her as well. That's a Abby Herring thing. I wonder if Macy Majoy, she likes sweet treats. I don't know. We need to get her back on just one time just to ask her that simple question. And if she drives around with the pole vault still on her car. We'll get your text in 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
America Strong. It's what we're all about. And to keep America strong, all Glockner locations are offering our lowest live market prices so you save big. And with our partnership with Kelley Blue Book, the Glockner buying centers are able to offer $2,000 above current market value for your current vehicle. That's how we're keeping America strong at the Glockner family of dealerships.
We make it easy at Glockner.com.
Giovanni's Pizza. Fresh, hot, and tasty. Have it delivered right to your door. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
The more vulnerable among us can fall victim to abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. When navigating your way out, it doesn't have to feel like a maze. Assistance is available from Adult Protective Services. To report neglect or abuse, call 800-352-6513. Sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources Bureau for Social Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This project was supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $383,493, with 75% funded by ACL HHS and 25% in the amount of $85,236 funded by state government sources. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out FeedThePig.org. That's FeedThePig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
Our text line this hour, 304-396-8255. That's 304-396-TALK. Paul Swann, your host for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Let's go to the text line. Texter writes in and says, "Hey, Paul, congratulations on your award. My question is, what do you consider the biggest sports upset ever?" I'm going to say James Buster Douglas knocking out Iron Mike Tyson. That's a good one. That's a good one. That was one I wasn't expecting because Iron Mike was just wrecking people. And I was a huge boxing fan at the time. Now, I was a big fan of the heavyweights. You know, growing up with the legacy and the legend of Muhammad Ali. And, of course, the heavyweight division was something really special at that time. And Iron Mike was just blowing things away. You know, had Nintendo's Punch-Out where the final boss was Mike Tyson. Certain generation, you get that. You understand that reference. You had Punch-Out in the arcades, and then you get the home console version, and the final boss is Mike Tyson. And then Mike got into all kinds of trouble, and they kind of changed that in the later versions of the game. But no, that's a good one there. I think what happened to Mike was the wrong people were in his ear. Mike, you got this guy. This guy's nothing. And so Mike didn't put in the work he should have. So, yeah, that's a big upset. I'm going to say the Miracle on Ice, for me, still holds as the greatest upset of all time. Because you've got this ragtag group of American kids. At that time, American hockey was not that well regarded. But there were some successes here or there. But it was the Canadians and obviously Canada. It's second nature to kids in Canada growing up. I mean, they have ice all over the place. But I think the Miracle on Ice, beating the Soviet Union, not the Russians, the Soviet Union, one of the most well-oiled hockey machines ever. This was pro-level team just knocking people around senseless. And the United States made them look like amateurs on that one given night. So for me, I think that's the biggest sports upset of all time. If you've got one, I'm curious, what would that be for you? And it's probably going to be subjective, but I would think that's, for me, that's the big one there. Biggest sports of all time. Maybe in boxing it is Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson, because that really threw a monkey wrench into a lot of things. And for me, hockey, that's the big one right there, the United States. And that wasn't even for the gold medal game. That was to get to the gold medal game. I think a lot of people don't realize that. The gold medal was not won that night. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our text line. You have a favorite sports upset? It could be individual. It could be team as well. Those are my two right there. Boxing coming up, that was a big one there. Because Mike was on top of the world. He was the best. I mean, he was what we were all tuning in for. And I had never seen him challenged or pushed like that. Speaking of upsets, of course, I've been pretty upset with T. Higgin not signing his franchise tag. He's not expected to by next week, so he's ineligible to report back for organized team activities until signed. So looks like there's going to be a long, drawn-out conflict there between the Bengals and T. Higgins. I just don't see in what scenario that T. Higgins gets paid the way he wants paid. I mean, he was going to be guaranteed more money than probably a lot of players would get anyway. You get a franchise tag. I think he was going to be fine, but I don't know what his end game is. The Bengals are not going to spend stupid money anymore. At least these last few years, they've been trying to – they got to pay one for Joe Burrow, but two, they're trying not to spend stupid money. And I don't think they're going to throw money around after you reach a certain level of age versus productivity and potential. I don't think you're going to make the money you think you're going to make. Yeah, it's very difficult to get those big paydays in the NFL, especially with a salary cap, and I don't think T's going to get what he's looking for. Basketball action coming up tonight. Pacers taking on the Celtics. That's going to be 8 o'clock. We got that game on our sister station. That is Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. Boston eliminating Miami and Cleveland to get to this point. Indiana eliminating Milwaukee, and then the New York Knicks. This is Indiana's first conference final since 2014. They are one of the best offensive units I've seen in a long time. They are averaging over 123 points a contest. This is the 7th playoff meeting all time between these two teams. Boston has won 4 of those matchups. NHL last night, I don't know how many of you were looking for something to watch and stumbled upon the Western Conference semifinals as the Edmonton Oilers beat the Vancouver Canucks 3-2. It was exciting in that third period. Edmonton went into the third period with a 3-0 lead, and Vancouver rallied back, couldn't get it done to tie and send to overtime. And so the Oilers, with the win, advancing to the conference finals. Second time in 3 years, facing Dallas in Game 1. That's coming up on Thursday. Wednesday night is going to be the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers. A lot of the pundits, a lot of the betting lines, kind of close, but more people are favoring the Panthers over the Rangers. I'm not telling you what to do with your betting, but take the Rangers. It's just my unbiased pick. Take the Rangers. Take the Rangers. So hockey action starting back up. But we got NBA action coming up tonight. That's going to be in our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. We'll get more of your texts coming up. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Collins Career Technical Center Adult Education. Get skilled, get hired, get ahead. Collins-cc.edu. Classic Jewelry and Loan, Route 60 in Barbersville, your gold and silver headquarters. Metro Community Federal Credit Union, 215 18th Street, Huntington, and now 5th Street Road in Lavallette.
Introducing In Your Business, a podcast highlighting thriving Huntington area businesses. Presented by Moses Auto Mall. Online at mosesmeansmore.com. In Your Business tells the story of Huntington's successes and where you can gain invaluable insights and advice from seasoned entrepreneurs. Produced by Kindred Communications and the Huntington Regional Chamber of Commerce. Find it on kindredcom.net, huntingtonchamber.org, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's keeping you from learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make learning fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council. You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman to save money.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Final segment of today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Text line is open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in, commenting on a thought we had earlier about the greatest sports upset. Texter says, Paul, the Miracle on Ice certainly propelled Al Michaels into broadcasting immortality. I still get chills when I hear it. It's an amazing call. He counts it down, and then, do you believe in miracles? Yes. And then the United States beating the Soviet Union just propelled the Thundering Herd. I wish it propelled the Thundering Herd. Propelled the United States to the gold medal game and beating Finland to win the gold medal. This was during the Cold War. So tensions were pretty high already between the United States and the Soviet Union. And if you're a little too young, maybe you don't understand really what the Cold War was all about. But at the time, instead of the two world superpowers fighting for dominance with military means, just direct conflict, there was an indirect war of ideology, economics, and there were a lot of tensions. And so United States wins this, and it was a huge victory. And this was an amateur American team going up against what was a pro team. The Soviet team was a pro team. Maybe amateur in name only, but this was a team with seasoned veterans that were pro level. I mean, the Canadians threw the best that that country offered up against this team at times, and it was for nothing that the Soviets were always on top. It was a dominant team, and so the Miracle on Ice victory, and it was also, keep in mind, it was Lake Placid, New York. Nobody saw this live. This is in Lake Placid, New York during the 1980 Winter Olympics. So we all had to find out about it later. And yeah, for me, that's the big one. Greatest sports upsets of all time was this it's like taking kids. We're taking kids and putting them together on a team. Like, okay, go play this pro team. Just go play this pro team. And the honor of your country is on your back. You got the flag on you. Yeah, you're wearing the USA. You're taking on the best team. And then Herb Brooks with that speech, and I'm not going to recite it all here, but Herb Brooks knew how to get the most out of his team. If you've ever seen the movie Miracle, if not, go get that movie, rent it, watch it if you can. It's a great film. I'm sure you can find documentaries and everything else on the Miracle on Ice, but if you're trying to rank sports upsets, that one ranks high with me. I'm sure ESPN's done a 30 for 30 on that. If not, they should. I think ESPN's done a 30 for 30 on everything, including Mike Tyson getting beat by Buster Douglas. I mean, Buster Douglas, here's a guy that had the world thrown at him. Instantly, he's the heavyweight champion, and then can't hang on to it. All right, back to our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texture says, Paul, it's nothing like the Miracle on Ice, but Johnny beating the Devil in Georgia was good. I mean, that's a huge upset. It's a huge upset. You can't live that one down. The Devil goes down to Georgia, and he gets into a fight, a music fight with Johnny, and then Johnny just whips him and takes that golden fiddle away from him. Not only did he beat him, he took the fiddle. That's an upset right there. I think that's an underrated upset, the Devil getting beat by Johnny. That's close to the Miracle on Ice. I mean, I don't know Johnny's background. I mean, was he professional? Was he a professional? What kind of music training did he have? Was he self-taught? Did he have a concert tour that maybe the Devil didn't know about? I don't know. Devil didn't plan this one out. Picked the music fight. Texter writes in and says, Rocky beating Drago was impressive. Yes, it was. Rocky flies to Mother Russia to avenge Apollo Creed and beat Drago. I love that movie. I saw that downtown. It was the cinema. You remember it wasn't a Camelot. Camelot was across the street. This is a Huntington, downtown Huntington. You had the Keith Albee. That was a palace. It was still carved up in separate theaters. Then you had the cinema across the street. Isn't that like a church now, I think, or something? And then you had the Camelot. Camelot was just like this one movie house. Just one screen. It was a big screen. And I saw Rocky at that movie, and there was a line for it that day. And we all were watching on the big screen Rocky go to Russia. And that soundtrack, by the way, that soundtrack is, I'm telling you, it's a must-have soundtrack. That movie is like still a product of the 80s. So that's because every movie, sports movie included, every movie had to have a soundtrack. Not just like an orchestral score. A soundtrack. We had Living in America, James Brown. That was on that soundtrack. We still sing that song today. Living in America. Okay, I like that. We've got some good sports upsets so far. But Rocky beating Drago was very impressive. Of course, in real life, Drago would crush us. Y'all know that, right? You know the real story about Drago. He's a genius. If you don't know this, he's got several degrees. Dolph Lundgren, several degrees. And I'm trying to look him up all now, but it flipped me out too when I saw this. He has a bachelor's and master's degree in chemical engineering. He studied at MIT. Then he dropped out. You're studying at MIT, you got a bachelor's and a master's degree in chemical engineering. So Drago is smart, much smarter than most of us. He also got beat up by Jean-Claude Van Damme. Remember that, Universal Soldier? That's probably another one of those classic action movies you don't remember. I remember it. He was in that movie, and he got beat by Jean-Claude Van Damme. You think I think Jean-Claude Van Damme could beat... You think he could beat Rocky? Maybe. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Retransmitting on Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.
West Virginia